Hi, I'm Dan McDonald, exec producer at Supermassive Games.
So Dan, tell us what's new with Directive 8020. What's this game all about?
So it's our version of the thing in space. With the Dark Pictures, we get to do lots of different stories in different locations, different timelines, all that kind of cool stuff. So it's a real chance for us to express ourselves and our artistic chops and do something different, going to space. But yeah, it's a new, bigger game for us. We've got a whole bunch of new gameplay mechanics in there. The big thing we're focusing on right now is some of the stealth that you can do. There's threat in exploration, there's a monster there, and that makes it a lot scarier because you've got direct control. We've refitted and redone all of the character movements and much more like an action adventure game now. And that's a lot of work and a lot of energy, but I think it's really paid off for us. We've expanded the puzzle systems and ways of hiding from and getting away from this hunter and fighting back against it in some way. The other big thing for us that we're talking about is the turning point system. So we've experimented with that on some, on the Quarry and on the Castle of Frank Stone, but this is a lot more granular. We've done a lot of quality of life improvements, and it means you can go back and change any decision. You can go back to a specific point, and we know that a lot of our fans play through the game multiple times. They want to kill everyone or save everyone. They want to get the different major endings. We want them to see that. We want them to see the moments that are going to make them cry or laugh or whatever. But yeah, this is a chance to really get to that a lot easier. And so, you're not happy with the choice you've made or the way that that's played out, the fact that characters died. You can go back just to that moment, or you can go back quite far, and it won't overwrite what you've done. So, you can see this network and understand it a lot more, just really explore it and get to that cool moments.
This is also the first time you guys have done science fiction horror. What was it like for your studio to dive into that genre?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. The artists all want to do that kind of stuff. They want to do different stuff, right? It's expensive for us because we can't use trees and barns and bits of wood and cars. It's all new. It has to all be new. And there's a lot of great work the technical artists have done. Creating this, the way the creature moves and the way that it flows and grows across the ship. And it's really quite disgusting, the things you can do, which again, it's different for us. That's the major thing for me as a creator myself, that we're not just stuck doing this one thing. We get to explore and innovate and go different places. And sci-fi is a great genre to be in. There's some fantastic movies. We talk about The Thing a lot, Event Horizon, some of the old Alien movies. There's some great inspiration out there. We're linking up with cosmic horror kind of theming, and our astronauts are thousands of light years away from Earth, and that brings a real isolation. There's moments where they're on the outside of the ship, and there's danger there just from being in space, and we can really play up on that. It's a great a hotbed of what's the right phrase I'm looking for? A place to mine, new ideas for us.
You guys are deciding on your next project. For this one, did you sit down and watch a lot of science fiction horror, like you mentioned, Alien, Life's a great one too?
Yeah. So we do a lot of research. We've actually been working on this for many, many years now. I've talked about this a lot in the past, but when we started the Dark Pictures, we already had a good idea for we knew what the first 4 were going to be, and then we had a real good view of what the next 4 were going to be. So this being the first one of that, we've changed some of the ideas and as we've grown and learnt things. We've had a lot of production design and concept art done. Again, more art. So we've got some fantastic images that we've done, which you won't see because that's just our inspiration. You got to release a book with the concept art. Yeah. I think in the special edition we do have an art book, so there is some of that available for people to see. But yeah, it's just a great fun place, a space to play in.
At your core, I call your games movies because essentially when you were guys working on Until Dawn and other Dark Anthology picture games, because there are games you do have mechanics. Do you follow the same kind of procedure as a film production when you're creating these games?
Very much so, yeah. We have this, obviously we do a lot of production design just like a movie would, and other games do as well, but we have this thing called the storyboard tool. So if you look at how a movie is produced, it's lots of storyboard images, working out the timeline, working out the exact cameras, who's in shot, what the pace of the motion, all that good stuff. We have a tool which we work very similar to that, but you can play it. So then it looks like a movie storyboard, but then the choices come up. And then when we get to a 3D section, it's a bunch of 2D maps with a little icon moving around. So we get to build the full game out, very much like a movie, but still a game. and then we have fantastic actors and actresses. The lead on this one, Lashana Lynch, she's a fantastic actress. Probably the biggest actor we've had so far, at least in terms of when we've got them. She's worked on Matilda recently, Day of the Jackal, the James Bond movies, Captain Marvel movies. She's absolutely fantastic. I was lucky enough to be on the set and meet her and watch her perform. Someone like her elevates the rest of the cast. We've had some other great actors as well on this one, like Danny Sapani. He's in the Halo TV series and stuff. So yeah, it very much is like shooting a TV series or a movie, having all these actors working together, but we're using it in a game.
Do you guys do casting and screen tests? Because in games there's casting, sure, but screen tests usually aren't a thing in video games, or not as common. Do you guys do that stuff as well?
Yeah, for all of the rest of the cast, generally we do screen testing. We work with a fantastic casting director based in London. She's got all the right contacts and knows all the right people. All the Hollywood stars. Some of them are coming to us because they want to work with us, so that's fantastic. But someone like Lashana, we're not screen testing her. We know what she can do. We're going after her. She's not going to do that for us. She's in hot demand.
It's that rare occasion where if they want to be involved, you just say yes.
Yeah, exactly that. We're chasing them down and giving them the right money to come and work with us. And oftentimes it's a new experience for them. They've worked on movies and TV series all their lives. They haven't necessarily done games, so they don't know what to expect when they come in the door. And we treat them with a lot of care and attention. We explain the process to them. They're wearing these headsets that are recording all their movements, and that can be quite uncomfortable for them all day long. We have to look after them, and we show them the game. We show them some of the gameplay. We show them what their characters are going to look like, and really help embed them in the character. Because the nature of the branching that we're doing, one moment they're going to be dying, and the next moment they're having a heartfelt moment with another character. So it's a lot of backwards and forwards, and it's a lot of work to keep on top of that and figure it out. So, but yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Now, did the lead reach out to you? Did her agent reach out to you directly and want to be involved? Or did you reach out to her?
We went after her. Yeah. Someone like Lashana, she's not looking for work at all. It's such a coup to get her. She's highly in demand. But yeah, really, really happy with her performance. And you'll see that in the trailers that we've already done and some. Yeah.
What's a big misconception about your studio from an outsider looking in? Because you guys make horror movie games, narrative-driven games with great twists and great stories. What's a big misconception of someone looking at this game from who knows nothing about game dev?
I think it's the movie angle. Everyone thinks we're just making playable movies.
Guilty.
Yeah. And we play on that because we want them to look like a movie. And I always talk about we get you to laugh and cry. My favourite moments are those movie moments when I sit there playing it myself, crying. For some of those moments when the piano hits just right. But yeah, so we do focus a lot on gameplay, and for this game we have focused even more, doubled down on it. We're not a studio that's shy of trying new things. We've worked on loads of different types of games. We're finishing at the moment the latest Little Nightmares game, so we've got a different team working on that, so we can do that fun stuff and different stuff. I'm looking forward to people playing this and seeing the new gameplay we've got.
You recently got a live adaptation of all of your games in the Until Dawn movie. How did that process go from your studio's end? Were you guys heavily involved, or was it kind of just like a sign off and have fun?
Yeah, so we're not actually involved in that at all. So that's a Sony-owned property, so they own it. We made the first game, so look, I was super proud of working on that original game. It did a lot for us as a company, and we learned a lot from that. And yeah, having watched the movie, super proud of seeing some of those moments and some of the style that's come through from that. So yeah, we're not involved in that, but I'm super proud to see that up on the big screen.
What's it like being part of a studio that makes single-player narrative-driven games, which they still exist, but they're few and far between nowadays. Everything's pivoting to live service. What is it like being in that industry where you can still do this kind of stuff at a AAA level?
The major thing I always talk about is fun. We get to, I just said just now, laugh and cry. I get to do that in my job at work. We get to design stuff together, working as a team, collaborating. We're not all making different decisions about what the story's going to be. There's a core of us that are doing that. But we all get to collaborate and have a lot of fun building this story that we're going to tell you. And we all love watching movies and watching TV series and reading books, and we all love playing games as well. And we feel we're a kind of crossover point between the movie world, TV world, and the game world. So yeah, stories. It's all about stories. We're all storytellers at heart in some way. But you mentioned single player. You can play this single player, but we still have movie night mode, which is up to 5 players. The big thing for us now is that's going to be online as well, so you can have 5 players playing different characters, maybe 5 players on one machine, or each on separate machines, or some combination of. But yeah, we're not going down the live service route at the moment.
If you were given the opportunity from Sony to pivot to actually adapting your individual games as a miniseries, would you and your team want to do that, or do you want to stick with games?
For me, it's games. I've seen some of the other side, and it's a lot of hard work, different kind of work that I don't know about. We all watch the Uncharted movie, or the Last of Us TV series, and Neil Druckmann doing a fantastic job with that stuff. But yeah, we've had conversations in the past about that kind of stuff, but I want to focus on what I know. I believe that my team are experts in their field, and so we want to keep innovating in that space.
For future game devs that want to be in an exec producer role, which is your top of the totem pole, right under from Sony, what advice would you give to them on how to get your job and where you got today?
It's a big focus on communication, being friendly but firm. Yeah, and collaborating, making sure, learning everything you can from the team. You will never be an expert working in production, never be an expert on any one thing. You have to lean on your team and get the best out of them and help them achieve great things. So I think that's the major focus to get to exec producer or any production job. It's about collaboration.
You have to kind of have the whole scope of work out in front of you all the time. Can you give me an example of something you've greenlit, and it could be from an older game, and something you've had to say no to due to scope or time or budget?
Oh, that's a difficult one.
That you're allowed to say. I don't want to get you in trouble.
No, so there's things that from every single game we've done where we've cut a scene, or more than one scene, and that's always a painful decision point, and the team are always up in arms about it. But it's often the right thing to do. Sometimes for different reasons, like pacing. Actually take it out because it's slowing down the story and not telling you the right thing. But sometimes it's just about, okay, is it needed? And we have this debate. The players don't know it's gone. And we've got opportunities now. We've had opportunities in the past as well. We can bring some of that stuff back. We did that for Man of Dam. We brought back a scene that we cut, a major ending scene. We've got those opportunities to bring that back. In terms of greenlighting stuff, one of the big challenges we face is doing the kind of story we do. It's all about the edit, because it's like a movie, and you're editing it to the last moment. And working with different publishers like Bandai Namco or any other publisher, Sony or other people in the past, they want you to stop. And we won't. We need to keep iterating to the last moment. And then you have arguments with the team about, well, no, that can go in, but that can't go in. That's risky, that's not. But you have to keep going to the last moment to make it, the best it can be.
When did your game come out, and what platforms are you aiming for at launch?
So 2nd of October 2025, and it's going to be PlayStation 5, the Xbox Series S and X, and Steam.
And as a fun question, favorite horror movie and why?
Okay, there's a whole bunch. The original Omen series, the fun fact about that for us is in the first one, they take the child to church, and he starts scratching at his mum or his stepmother or whatever in the car because he doesn't want to go in. That's actually filmed in Guildford, so that's really quite cool. We could see that cathedral on the hillside from our office. I love Army of Darkness, the Evil Dead movies. I just, on the plane over here, just watched 5 different horror movies. I watched Abigail, which was a lot of fun, and Wolfman, and the first Smile movie, I'd only just watched that on the plane. Paranormal Activity, seeing those moments of, just stillness, and then something happens and it scares the crap out of you. And of course, my favourite actually is the Conjuring series. I absolutely love those movies. I think they do the setting so well, and you care about the characters, and it's really scary.
I think a lot of kids have seen The Omen, or even like those older, like The Changeling. That's a good one too. People haven't seen those movies.
Yeah. There's so many good old movies. Not just the slasher movies like Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street, but The Omen and The Exorcist and all that stuff. I remember seeing that in the cinema when that was re-released many years ago, and that was still holds up. There's a wealth of good stuff out there.